Hi everyone, Sandy here from the Curtain Boutique. Now today I'm going to show you how to work out your calculations for waterfall Roman blinds. It's been something that a lot of people have been asking me and it is quite confusing and complicated, but I'm going to try and explain it as easily as I can without you getting too confused. So I've made a couple of diagrams of how I work it all out and I'm going to share this with you. So obviously take any pictures of the diagrams, but it's the theory that you'll need more than anything. So when you consider going for waterfall blinds as opposed to the normal pleated up, you have to make sure you're not going to be compromising any light. So if you're doing a blind inside the recess and you haven't got an awful lot of actual window coming through, you might want to maybe just do regular Roman blinds. But if you are going on the outside of the recess and you've got a little bit to play with, as in moving the blind up so you're not going to like come into any of the light, waterfall is a great idea, unless you're not really bothered about light. But most people want to sort of try and, you know, keep as much light coming into the room as possible. So I'm going to work this all out and show you how I work it out. Right, these are the measurements for the first sort of regular blind that you're not going to kind of like compromise any light, because it will all be folded up and there won't be any kind of like stepping as in waterfall. Let me just explain the first one so that you know exactly what you're doing. So first of all, get your drop and write that down. My drop is 120. So from the drop, you want to minus the head rail. So my head rail is 6 centimeters because I use the cassette cartridge one that's always 6 centimeters, so I always minus 6 centimeters from the drop. So 120 minus 6 centimeters and you're left with 114. Now you've got to work out how many pleats you want in your blind. As a rule of thumb, usually a half pleat is around about 18 centimeters. That's roughly, or in my case it's going to be 16.2, but you know, it can be sort of anything from sort of 16 to 19. I wouldn't do them any bigger than that unless you've got a very tall window and you know your pleats can be bigger, and that's fine. But you're going to, with this type of drop, you always like get your drop and divide it by an odd number. So in this case we've got a half pleat, then we've got a whole pleat, so that's 2, then we've got another whole pleat, 4, and then another whole pleat, and then you've got the track allowance at the top, which is 6 centimeters. So on the first one you've got 1, 2, fold, 3, rod pocket, 4, fold, 5, rod pocket, 6, fold, 7. So on this one we've got 7. So with our 114 we divide that by 7, and that will give us our pleats for our regular Roman blinds. So the first one is going to be 16.2. So you measure from the bottom of the blind up to that, put your rod pocket in and measure it all, and then actually sew it all in. Then go to the next one, and from that rod pocket you want 32.5. So you'll then make your mark and do your second rod pocket. Then the next rod pocket will be another 32.5. And then you'll obviously make the mark and do your next row of stitching, and then the next one will just be the top. So it will just make itself into the 38.5 because that's what you'll have left. So that will be your top, and you'll put your Velcro along the top there. So I'm now going to show you how to do the waterfall. So this is the waterfall version. Now what you have to do here, this is the cascade amount. So this is your theory. So when you're doing your actual folds, your pleats rather, you have to obviously work out the same as you did before how many pleats you're going to have. And obviously I'm having 7 in this case. So with cascade increments, we always start from the top. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the first one we mark 1, and with our calculations and cascade amounts, we don't add anything onto 1 or 2. So 1 is 0, 2 is 0, 3 will add 2 centimeters, 4 will add 2 centimeters, number 5 will add 4 centimeters, number 6 will add 4 centimeters, and number 7 we add 6 centimetres. So what I suggest you do is make a note of all of this and then write down how much you're going to be adding to each one, so that you know that you're going to work out your pleats, and then you've got to add these on to your actual pleats that you've got at the moment. So what you have to do first is add these all up. So you've got 7, you add 6, 4, 4, 2, 2, and then obviously there's nothing, and you're left with 18 centimetres. So what you do is you get your 114, because you've taken your rail size off. So you've got your 120, you take your rail size off first, and then you're left with your 114. So from 114, you need to take off your 18 centimetre for your increments. So from that, you're then left with 96. You then divide that by 7, because you know you've got 7 half pleats, which comes to 13.7. So you know that now, excuse me, all you've got to do is you've got 13.7 at the top, because you don't have to add anything onto 1 and 2. 3 and 4 is going to be 13.7 plus 2, so that takes it to 15.7 and 15.7. 4 and 5, you're adding 4, so that takes that to 17.7, and then number 7, you add 6, and that will take that one to 19.7. So make a note of this, guys. Make a note of these calculations here. If you're going more, if you're doing 9, you'll still do 0, 0, 2, 2, 4, 4, 6, 6, and 8. So you always go up 2. So, and then just keep it like that, you know, keep that theory going where you'll go 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, I mean, however long your blind is going to be. So that's how you work out your pleating, and I hope that's clear. If you have any questions, just email me, because I'm absolutely fine with that. I've got no problem helping you with any problems you've got. So let's just go through it again. 120 is my drop. Take off my 6 centimetre head rail. I'm then left with 114. My 114, I have to deduct my cascade amounts off, and the cascade amounts are all the amounts that, you know, we've added to our pleats. So we've got 0, 0, 2, 2, 4, 4, 6. That it makes 18. So we take the 18 off the 114, and we're left with 96. So 96 divided by 7 is 13.7, and that is our half pleat size. So 13.7 is going to be added to each half pleat. And then from the top, we do the 0. Well, obviously don't add anything to the first 2, 2 to the next 2, 4 to the next 2, and 6 to the last one. So I hope that's clear. Now, next I'm going to show you how to actually make the lining. So stay tuned for that. Right, so you lay your lining wrong side down. I've turned in my sides. I'm now going to measure from the bottom of the blind up to my first rod pocket, which is going to be 19.7. So I'm making a mark with the pen so that you can see it, but I wouldn't usually use a pen. So 19.7, I do it in the middle, and then I do it on the edge, and then I join those together. Now I would use an invisible marker to do this. And make your mark. Come back on yourself. And just allow enough to do your little pocket, little rod pocket. And the little rods are so tiny, you don't need to make your rod pocket too big. And then place your pins along the mark that you've made, and make sure that's really accurate. So you put your pins in. Now, usually I would say sew this as you go, but for the purpose of the video, I'm not going to sew it, but usually I would as I go. But I'm just going to use plenty of pins so that it won't move, so the next one will be just as accurate. But I'm going to use my pin as my guide for my next rod pocket. So I'm going to fold this up, pull this towards me, and keep checking the lining is nice and straight and flat underneath. And then the next rod pocket is going to be 35.4 from this pin. So from here you have to have 35.4, and that's probably not enough. No, not quite. So keep going up until you've got enough. So you do your first one from the pin, because that's where your stitch line will be, and then it's got to be 35.4. Let's put my glasses on, guys, can't see. 35.4. So just mark that there and go in the middle where that pin is. 35.4, and then the end. And then join those together. Now you could do an iron crease instead of marking it with an invisible marker, but it's entirely up to you. So I'm just going to go forward a little bit, and then you can see here that I've got my mark, and I'm going to bring it back so that it's about a centimetre, maybe, if that. And then get my pins and pin it again. Keep your pins really accurate on the line. Okay, so now we're going to go up again. Now I'll have to go around the other side of the bench, but the next one's going to be 31.4. So I'm quite sure that's not going to be enough. Oh, it is. 31.4 is there. Of course they get smaller, don't they? They get smaller as they go up. 31.4 from the pin, and then in the middle. So this is your final one. Final rod pocket. And bring this towards you again, so you've got about a centimetre, and then put your pins in again along the line. Okay, so that is your lining done. So all you need to do now is obviously sew them across, 3 of them. And then once that's done, you'll obviously lay this on your work and you'll trim the top. So obviously when you get to the top of the blind, you'll trim that away, and then your Velcro will be sitting on top of your lining. But a little note that when you do linings, always turn up 10 centimetres, or just, I mean, obviously I've cut that really badly, and then I just turned it up so it's nice and straight with a set square. I always do that anyway, because I always put a bit of lining in the hem, because it just makes the whole thing so much more substantial and like really, you know, it just looks much better. So always turn up 10 centimetres so you've got a nice kind of like stable bottom. So yeah, I'd always do that, because it's a really good way of making linings. So once you've done that, then you do your 3 rod pockets, and then that's ready for going in your blind. I hope that's been helpful. Obviously, if you're doing a lining that isn't waterfall, you do it exactly the same way, but you'll obviously have different calculations, but it's exactly the same as doing the waterfall. They're both the same. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. And it's been helpful. I'm going to be showing you how to make a tie back soon as well, and then next week I've also got a Roman blind that I'm making in a voile, so that'll be interesting. It'll be a way to make a Roman blind without using lining, so you're just going to be using the fabric. It's just like a kind of, not a net curtain, but like a just nice foil that's a Roman blind, so you can put it down for a little bit of kind of privacy, or you can just have it as a decorative lovely blind. Anyway, thanks for joining me, and I will look forward to seeing you soon. Don't forget to subscribe and share and leave any comments and give me a big thumbs up, because that really helps my channel. Anyway, take care guys, lots of love, bye.